Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Johnson, and today I will be covering Chapter 5 in the textbook International Business, Competing in the Global Marketplace by Charles Hill, 10th edition, as well as Professor Cathari's lectures on ethics and specifically business ethics. So what are ethics? Ethics refer to accepted principles of right or wrong. For example, if it is wrong to cheat on a test or to steal something, which it is. But more specifically, business ethics, which are the accepted principles of right or wrong in governing the conduct of business people. For global businesses in particular, this leads to the debate of how to conduct one's business in various countries around the world and how to adjust to each country, as well as which country's ethical behavior a company should follow. There is no typical clear-cut answer in most cases, and many companies take advantage of certain countries that don't have as strict laws as, say, the United States when it comes to laws regarding labor and the environment. Companies use this to their advantage to exploit these countries to get ahead of competitors and make a profit. And this brings us to a concept called cultural relativism, which is a concept in which ethics are culturally determined and firms should adopt the ethics of the cultures in which they operate, just like the well-known saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. For example, if the country in which a global business is operating in does not have strict regulations against child labor laws, should a company employ children, even though it is illegal in its home country? According to the idea of cultural relativism, the company should employ kids and young teenagers to work in factories. It is the idea that if the host country, the country in which one is working in, can do it, then it is okay to do. The concept does not typically stand up in most ethical situations. Many people would see the idea of employing kids in a factory as abuse and quite ethically wrong, and is therefore not typically a concept that should be followed. However, what if employing a child in a factory means helping their family and actually giving them a better chance at life? Many of these situations lead to ethical dilemmas. An ethical dilemma is a situation in which none of the available alternatives seem ethically acceptable. On one hand, employing a young child in a hard labor factory may seem unethically possible and unfair, but if it is saving them from harder circumstances, then it becomes more acceptable and even ethical to give them a job to help them where possible. In making these decisions, it depends on the company's organizational culture. Organizational culture can legitimize unethical behavior or reinforce the need for ethical behavior. So, in our example, it may be part of a company's culture to employ a child in their factory, even though it is unethical in their home country, because it means actually helping the child from a worse situation. The company knows it is typically not accepted, but is making an exception and legitimizing the situation from their perspective. Each company has different organizational cultures, which is how they're all differentiated. This stems from the foundation on which a company is made and the personal ethics of the founder and how the founder then applies their ethics to their company. Personal ethics are the generally accepted principles of right and wrong when governing the conduct of individuals. Personal ethics can translate into how a CEO treats those underneath them, and those principles can be transferred to an entire company and how they treat their fellow workers and their customers. When employees are sent to other countries for work, they are more likely to face pressure to violate their personal ethics because they're away from their ordinary social context and supporting culture. Situations may arise that are tempting for an employee to act on, that are more of a social norm in one country, but are ethically and legally wrong in their home country, such as paying a bribe. Paying a bribe may be very tempting and even the safest way to get out of some situation in different parts of the world. In some countries, the law enforcement may accept bribes to ignore a law violation. Paying a bribe in this situation seems like a better offer than potentially going to jail in the foreign country where you do not know how the legal system works and could potentially be corrupt. Whether it is ethically wrong or right is hard to determine most of the time and is an important part of every business. If a business starts its foundation on each person having a positive ethical behavior and using their own moral compass, as shown here, then they will be able to assess their situation and see what is acceptable and realistic in business ethics. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this helps you all in reviewing some of the key concepts in Chapter 5. Once again, my name is Stacy Johnson. Thank you.